Hi everyone, welcome to the new video series that I'm going to do throughout the winter. Today I'm going to talk about cover crops. So I just listened to Verhallen's session on the Ontario Ag Conference on cover crop agronomy. So I wanted to go over one of the websites in particular that she mentioned, and I think this will really help you guys decide what you would like to do with your cover crop needs. So a lot of people have said that they're interested in trying cover crops, but everyone is always sort of confused. What do I do? What mix do I use? What rate, etc. So this is a really good website that will help you decide what those mixes you're going to do, and it even gives you rates and any other precautions. So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to go through this together. Okay. There we go. Okay, so this is called the Midwest Cover Crop Council's decision tool. So if you go, I will post the website in the chat, but here is mccc.msu.edu/cover crop tool. So it's a very simple tool. You choose where we live, so Ontario, we live in Essex County, and then you tell it your goals. So I'm going to say we want to build our soil. So we want to increase our organic matter, and we can even add a second goal. So I'm going to say I want to help, what do you think? Let's say quick growth for fall seeding. You can put in current cash crop options. So let's say you are going to put it in after wheat, and next year it's going to go into grain. So I'm going to say wheat for this time being. We planted it, let's say October 7th. Well, it's not going to let me do that, so I'll have to do it for the next year. Let's say October 7th, and then you're going to harvest it in July. Oh, it's not going to let me do it that either. Okay, let's go back and do corn. So we're going to plant it. That's maybe more realistic of a date. And we're going to harvest it November 1st. Okay, and then display cover crop type and ground cover types. So then you click find, and here we go. So this shows in ranking from highest to lowest what your preferred method is. This grayed out area is showing the cropping season. So if you wanted to plant something after corn came off, you really only have one option, and that is winter cereal rye. So I'm just going to take this out for the time being. No, it's not going to let me. Okay, well, just ignore the gray. So this is, it tells you what, so we have winter cereal rye, triticale, winter wheat, annual ryegrass, and spring barley, etc. You see red clover is still up here, but it has a 1 under. So here we go. We have planting periods. So green means reliable establishment. Yellow means that there's a risk of freeze or moisture risk to establishment. And then for the goals, so for our first goal, which was soil builder, that's goal number 1. 4 is excellent, 3 very good, 2 good, and 1 fair. So for the first goal, the first 4 there are excellent options, and then 3 is very good for our quick growth. So you can go through this website and play around with everything, choose a different goal, choose a different cash crop. Don't even add that in if you don't want to, because you know you're going to put it in at a certain time. And then when you're done, you can click on, let's say we want to do winter cereal rye. Let's click on winter cereal rye. And then it gives you all of this information. So it's going to give you location information, cover crop selection, the reasons why you're choosing that. So you want to build your soil and you want quick growth. And then planting information is going to give you a drilled seeding depth. So it wants you to go to 3/4 to 1.5 inches deep. Drilled seeding rate. So that's another consideration is how are you going to plant this? Are you going to broadcast it with fertilizer? Are you going to drill it? Are you going to aerial seed it over soybean crop, let's say, right before harvest? So it gives you the pounds per acre that you need to apply and get a good seed established. Is it frost seeded? Can you frost seed it? No. Is there a frost fly free date? No. And then there's other comments in this section here that you can read. Termination information. So most people want it to die over winter. So that will tell you in this section here, cereal rye does not terminate over winter. So you would have to use chemical, mow it, tillage, or roller crimpers. Then there's performance and rules. It tells you it is a soil builder and it has quick growth, but it also is an erosion fighter, a weed fighter. It's good for grazing and has lasting residual, etc. So this is actually seems to be a really good cover crop here. Then we have cultural types and advantages and disadvantages. So there's a plethora of information here for you to learn about every single cover crop you could dream about. It even goes through and does mixes. So here you see cowpea in a mix, sun hemp in a mix, so it helps you mix it up. And then here we have 90% winter cereal rye with 10% radish, and etc. So those are things that you can look at even with a mix if you're interested in doing that. So yeah, things that we need to consider. I'm gonna exit out of here and just go back to the screen. So like I said before, we want to consider, are we drilling it or broadcasting it? The main disadvantage of broadcasting cover crop is the lack of establishment or the uneven establishment. That's consistently what I hear from farmers is they have strips of the cover crop. It doesn't quite make the length of the broadcast like the fertilizer does. The smaller seed, so there's strips throughout the field. And then the seeding depth can be very inconsistent also. You can have stuff coming off the ground and stuff 2 inches deep. So I would say drilled is more the better option to go with, just because you have that more consistent stand. You have a better seeding depth and less risk of heaving and wind erosion throughout the winter. The other one is you want to treat it like a cash crop. So you don't want to just seed the seed and not actually add any fertility. So you want to make sure that you're giving it what it needs to grow and perform the way you want it to perform. We don't use manures here, so we need to add in synthetic fertilizers in order to make that happen. Let's say you use biopellets. That could be a great option. You put that down and then you put in a nitrogen scavenger to hold that nitrogen that you put down with the biopellets. The third thing is I would add a mix. Obviously, red clover is aside from that, but make sure you're keeping it affordable. I don't want you to spend all the money here, but make sure I like to see a mix just because you're adding a diverse range, and every year will be different. So let's say you do a 3-way mix this year and next year, it might look very different just because of the season that it's working in. So you're going to see different benefits from one year to the next. Make sure you're spreading it at the right time. I see consistently that we should plant it after the second week of August. If we do it before, then it can get too top growthy and a little bit rank. So that's something to be aware of. make sure you do the right rates. So if you are using that decision tool, it tells you what the right rates are, but I can also work with you on that for what should be the right rates for your farm. And then if it isn't doesn't die over winter, you need to know what your termination plan is. That is the last and key step. So I want to make sure that we can do this work together to do this. So make sure if you have any questions, let me know and we can work through this together. Thank you so much.